Hello again, everyone. I'm Toby Burrell. This is Tom Wilmot, and welcome to Week 11 edition, thank you, Aaron, of the Maroon Strong Pregame Show. This week we're coming to you live from Soda Pop's Restaurant down here in downtown Bryson City. Paul Crawley kind enough to sponsor this week's show, and I tell you what, we've got a big one coming the folks' way today. They're really going to enjoy all the features we got. Extra long pregame show. It's going to be something special.
Yeah, we've got plenty to get to today. So we've got some wrap ups from some of our state playoff runs. We've got some reports from Aaron and Tori this week. We're going to have some guests on the set. Coach Blankenship's going to be with us today. Coach Ladder's going to be with us today. So Toby, we've got a full slate for everybody tonight.
Not to mention a huge football game coming up after we're done.
Is there football
there's
game tonight?
Football tonight.
Yeah.
They're going to play despite everything, Murphy and Swain. So we've got that coming up. But you know, Tom, you hit on it. The playoff run these Maroon Devil teams have had so far have been nothing short of phenomenal. Included in that, of course, is Coach Sonia Blankenship's Lady Devil volleyball team, who were Smoky Mountain Conference champions again with another 20-win season.
Yep.
Before the season started, Coach Blankenship announcing that this would be her final season. And our own Aaron Jenkins had a chance to sit down this week with Coach Blankenship and talk to her about that.
Thank you, Coach B, for taking the time to sit down with me today.
It's my pleasure.
You just wrapped up your 19th season as head coach of the volleyball program, finishing with 20 wins for the 8th time in your career, as well as a Smoky Mountain Conference championship. Walk us through this season.
You know, I think that a lot of people discounted us because we're pretty dominant last year, even though we don't have any kind of title to our name. We had girls that had been a part of the program for 3 years. So we got discounted a lot, but the reality is we had 2 4-year starters returning to our team. Carrie had been a defensive specialist for us for 3 years, and then this year took on the role of the libero. And then, of course, Lydia Sell, the outside hitter, who had dominated through the conference all 4 years. But we also had Alyssa Robinson and Emily Stiles, who returned as former starters from last year's team. So I think that we just really had 2 key roles to fulfill, and we brought on a junior setter. Autumn actually went and played club ball last season, and I think that definitely helped strengthen her game. And just the leadership that was provided by all the other girls that accompanied the team. Each person had their own element of contribution to the team. It was everybody kind of were okay with their roles, and that was a huge factor in this year's success. Very team-oriented, very leadership-oriented. So I think that it was just a remarkable season all the way around. They, the first home victory against Rosman set the tone of dominance, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Winning against Pisgah the very early on in the season, which is typically a battle. All of those set the tone for the season. Of course, we were humbled about midway through the year with the loss to Hayesville, which was kind of came as a shock and a surprise. I have to say they were very well coached, and they had a perfect game plan that took us down. But we kind of forced us to stop and refocus and get our center back and then move forward from there.
On your final home game of the regular season, you retired 3 numbers and got a little surprise yourself from the athletic department, as they also hung a banner in your honor. What was that like for you?
That was a complete surprise, unnecessary, but appreciated at the same time. I'm not one that needs things hung in my honor or anything like that. That's not who I am. So a little bit, to me, over the top, but it was a very nice surprise. They did a very good job of keeping that a secret. They're fortunate that I don't do Facebook, apparently. Having my parents and my family at the game was huge, and getting to see a lot of the former players and the little PowerPoint slide that they put together at the after the game, that was all really, really nice, and certainly felt very appreciated for what I had done these past 19 years. But I had asked them not to do anything on that night because it wasn't supposed to be about me. It was supposed to be about the 3 girls whose jerseys we were retiring.
19 years ago, you took over the program as a former player. When you took over, the volleyball program was in pretty good shape, but you were able to take it to new heights. When you first started, could you ever imagine sitting here today with over 300 wins, 8 conference championships, and a state championship to your credit?
No. As a 15-year-old kid who started playing volleyball as a sophomore, never imagined ever that would even be what I decided to do with my life. But it certainly was a passion that was instilled in me. I've been blessed with an ability and a talent. God has given me, 1, the ability to play and some athleticism, but 2, a desire and a competitive spirit, which I think has probably elevated the game more than anything. I hate to lose. I mean, I don't like to lose in cards. I don't like to lose in Monopoly. I don't like to lose, period. So that competitive spirit has helped me drive young women to kind of reach down and find a little bit more, that there's more about them. So, all those things, all those wins, all those things that you just listed there, there's a whole lot more to it.
Let's play with word association. How about I say a word or a short comment and you tell me what first comes to mind when you think of that. Is that okay?
That could be fun, but okay.
How about the team you most like to beat?
Rosman.
Megan Peterson.
Hart.
Kayla Crawley.
Fierce competitor. Best practice player I've ever had.
And 2008.
Wow. 2008. I don't know that there's words to describe that truly. What it's meant for Swain High athletics and what it meant for all of those who were associated with them.
Now they say that each team takes on a certain personality. Of your 19 teams, which one was most like your personality that you were most in tune with?
Team. I'd have to say the 08 team was most like me in the fact that they were such competitors. They truly bought into everything that I guess I've ever tried to teach. Leadership was huge that year. They took on ownership. We started the season that year, and I said, if you want this group to get to where they need to be to help you, then it's on you. So they assumed those leadership roles. Despised to lose. I can remember them losing games and feeling like they were so angry that they lost a game, not even the match, but the game. And our word that year was dominate, and we wanted people to know when we came and when we left, and to fear us, and they did all of those things. And I think as part of my role as a coach, it's been to take young girls and give them that spirit, that competitiveness, that the edge that they need to be leaders amongst their community, to find more, to go after what they want.
Now that it is over, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I kind of stated before, it's not about me. Again, I've been blessed with that ability to do things. I want to be a rung on the ladder, to allow the next person who goes on after me to be able to use me as a stepping stone to then take this program to new heights. I mean, we had a run of dominance between 04 and 08. I'd love to see that come back again. And if I can help contribute with that, by doing the youth league program and helping with those types of things, then I certainly want to do that. But more than anything, I want the girls who play in this program to have pride in themselves and what they do, to develop leadership skills that will carry on throughout the community, and to have a love and a respect for their abilities that they have been God-given.
19 years, 351 wins, 8 conference championships, 5 tournament championships, 2-time regional runner-up, and 1 state championship. It has been a great run. On behalf of Swain High, I congratulate you and wish you nothing but the best in your future. Thank you for your time today, Coach B.
Thank you.
And what a great job Aaron did with that interview. You know, it was a tough interview. It was sit down. It was a little different style than what we've used in the past, and Aaron handled it wonderfully. And great job overall. Not only can she do that, she does a pretty mean milkshake and orangeade too. We can testify too. So you're watching the Maroon Strong Pregame Show here from Soda Pops today, and I tell you what, the Lady Devil cross country team had a tremendous run at state this past weekend, and we're going to have Coach Ladder come in and join us here in just a second and talk a little bit about the Lady Devil cross country team and Parker Chatham. But you know, our own Joe Holt was on the spot down at the state cross country championships, and we got highlights of that.
We're going to state.
You're talking about.
They're too big. They look like this. It's the same.
You're top 30, you're doing amazing! You're almost at the 2 mile, come on, baby! Crushed it, Joe! He crushed it, Swain! Ah!
There's the fencing, but don't be afraid to be assertive in that first 10 seconds so you don't get run over, all right? Get out where you need to be. Of course, is plenty wide to pass. Parker rode that train, hopping boxcar to boxcar to boxcar. Right? He was seated 54th. He got 22nd. Right? Y'all can do this.
Every single place counts. There's a gap. The worst thing you do with the gap is let that gap stay there. You see a gap in front of you, you get it. You close the gap.
Remember, team above yourself. All right? At all times, you are thinking about the team.
I did.
It won't be what it is right now.
Good job, Jenna. Keep moving up. Keep moving up. Looking good, Madison. Keep with it. Keep with it. Looking good, Carly.
You guys are making this happen.
Looking great, Madison. Come on, Serena. You got to get ahead of this pack. Get ahead of that pack. Once you get out of the way, pass them.
Lexi, you gotta work this.
Go, Lindsay! Go, Lindsay! Where you go, Sway? Kick it in, Sway! Watch out, Lindsay! Lindsay, go! Go, Lindsay! Go, Go, KP! Go, KP! Serena, go!
Your 8th place team scoring 239 points, Raleigh Charter. Your 7th place team today scoring 217 points, Franklin Academy. Your 5th place team today scoring 122 points, Robbinsville. Coming in 4th, scoring 110 points, Pine Lake Prep. And your 3rd place team today, scoring 91 points, Swain County. In 6th place, winning 50.43 from Swain County. Victor. Running 20 points, 4174 from Swain County, Shelby Hyatt. Points medal today. Running 20. Thank you.
And we're joined now by cross-country coach
Thank you.
Philip Latter. And, Coach, welcome to the set. And tremendous showing by your teams down there. And I say teams because not only did the Lady Devils do extremely well, we don't want to forget about Parker Chatham's wonderful showing, too. He just joined right in there. You know, third overall. And Parker ended up 22nd overall, so a tremendous showing all the way around.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Coach, congratulations on all their success this year. I'd like to ask you, though, after your showings at regionals, which obviously went real well, did that give you any kind of inkling about how you guys were going to do down at state?
I mean, I think we had a dream that we could somehow crack in the top three. We were 1 point behind Pine Lake Prep.
Sure.
And we knew that I think 4 of the top 5 ranked teams in our state were coming out of our region.
Cool.
So we knew it was a pretty loaded race, but just based on the way the girls had run, I think we thought third would have required an absolutely perfect day. And obviously we got it.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But yeah, I mean, I would say this has probably been the most difficult season I've had since we came here. Our top girl, junior Shelby Hyatt, she ended up getting pneumonia about 6 weeks ago and has just been pushing through.
Sure.
You've got Madison Travitt. She was 12th last year at state, and she tore her Achilles at that meet. Wasn't cleared to run again until this September, so she's been out 10 months.
Not a lot of prep time for her, though.
No. And so it's been pretty crazy. And even one of our top freshmen, Lindsay Hicks, she had blown out her ACL last year and slightly tweaked it this year. And, man, we were all on pins and needles for the longest time, but they all came together when it mattered most. And
it's, like I said, a tremendous showing from a cross-country team, and especially you battling all these injuries and having, not a lot of prep time for some of your star runners. I mean, color us all impressed. Very good year.
Thank you.
Well, you spoke just a little bit about it. I don't know how much more in depth you want to go with the effort that your folks gave. The thing that impresses me most, and what a lot of people may not understand about cross country, is it all sort of revolves around personal best, doesn't it? You want the kids, the athletes, to be able to run their best at the opportune time, and it certainly appeared as though our team did that last Saturday with a lot of personal bests on the day.
Yeah, and that course was super sloppy and muddy. I mean, this is when you got, everybody back in Swain was getting hit with a, baby snowpocalypse here. We're out there in 40-degree weather, 30-mile-per-hour winds. It rained all during the morning races. So, yeah, I mean, it looked like a horse track as far as how sloppy it was, and our girls absolutely popped it. The last 3 weeks they really started to get together. They got healthy. They started really believing in the training that we were doing, and I told them, I can pop you twice. We can get a really good regional race, and then we're going after it at state. And I don't think I've ever had a team so wholeheartedly buy into what we were trying to do. Even look at our number 7 runner. She ran a PR by 70 seconds at her last meet of the year.
Amazing.
So you're talking 1 through 7, and for a girl like Shelby, who was 4th in the conference and then 10th in the region, to then get 4th in the state, that was surreal. And then, for all the bad stories I had here, we've got good stories like little freshman Emma Pinder. We call her Bambi because she's so passive. She's just a sweet little thing. Had never been a serious runner before. She comes out and gets 6th in the entire state. Kylie Pond, a sophomore, just the toughest worker you'll ever meet. And, she ground her way into being the number 5 girl on our team. And now, I've never been around a group quite like that.
Well, I tell you what, it was a tremendous showing, and it's a testimony to your coaching ability too, Coach. I know you're modest and probably don't want to hear that, but to be able to get your team ready for the big event and to gear them and focus them towards that was just an amazing job on your part. And our congratulations to you guys, and a wonderful job. We're extremely proud of you. As I termed it on the Maroon Devils Network, public school state champions.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say that, folks, because they're the #1 public school in the state of North Carolina in terms of running ability. So you may not get something from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, but that's big kudos to be able to finish first among public schools in North Carolina.
Well, thank you very much. And I got to say, I was, as far as the big race ability, I was fortunate that before I came here, I was an assistant coach at one of the top schools in the entire nation in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I learned a lot from those coaches and from the work I do writing for Running Times and Runner's World, and it was great to actually take all this knowledge and all this experience and bring it to a small town where sports is such a big part of the community and culture. And I mean, there's no other place in the world where you get a police escort out for a cross-country team.
I saw that.
I mean, if you have success, the people of Swain County and Bryson City are going to take care of you. And I mean, it paid off today. And they definitely, we let them sit on the big podium at the end of the meet because the top 2 teams get to stand up there. And I was like, well, this year you sit, but next year we want to be standing up there. So.
And you're a very young team, by the way.
Yep, we graduate no one.
That's right. Excellent. No one leaves. So big things.
Yep.
Big things.
We're pretty psyched.
Well, good. I'm glad, and we're extremely happy for you guys and what you're able to do. And sort of to segue into that, we've got another Maroon Devil who's having an outstanding season. And it kind of goes without notice a lot of times, but kicker Cooper Reinert is really putting together a sensational season. So far, he's 33 of 35 on the year with
extra points.
On extra points with 3 field goals, including a long of 34 yards. So a tremendous job by Cooper, and that sort of goes under the radar a lot of times. And another thing about Cooper that a lot of people may not realize is he doubles sports. He played soccer as well as the kicker for the football team. So Cooper is a busy man.
That's tough to do in season like that.
It is very tough to do. And, our own Tori Treadway caught up with him earlier this week and kind of talked to Cooper about a couple things and also got a kicking lesson. So let's take a look at that now.
Hi, I'm Tori Treadway, and I'm here with the kicker of the varsity football team, Cooper Ryan. And he is going to teach me how to kick a field goal.
The first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is set your ball up. But in a game, you'd have a holder do this for you.
Okay.
And then you want to take your steps. And field goal steps are different than kickoff steps. But I do the same steps. So I'll basically preference.
Okay.
And so for a field goal, you take 3 steps back.
All right.
And then 2 steps to the side. And then you square up. And then you'll take 1 step with your left foot called a jab step.
Okay.
And it's just a few inches. So you take your jab step, then your stride, then your plant foot, then you kick the ball.
You are not only on the varsity football team, but you are on the varsity soccer team. Is it too much, or how's it feel?
Honestly, it's not too hard because since I don't play a different position on the football team, I can just stay at practice until we're done kicking, and then I'm only 30 minutes late to my soccer practice. So it's not too hard. I can keep up with it.
And how did it feel getting your ring last Friday?
It felt awesome. I had to wait a really long time for that.
Okay. What kind of ring did you get last Friday?
I got my state champion ring for pole vault last Friday.
What is it like being the varsity kicker?
I honestly like it a lot because I get to be a part of the football team, but I don't have to stay till 7 o'clock every day to practice. And I get to eat every Friday. That's one of my favorite parts. And I made a lot of good friends on this football team.
That's great.
Your turn.
Okay. All right, so pace it back, right?
Yeah, okay.
3 steps.
You're right-footed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you start with your right foot in front of the ball.
Okay.
And your left foot on the side of it.
All right. So, and then I'll take 3 steps back.
Yeah.
Okay. Really
1.
big steps?
Just like a regular pace.
Okay. And then I'll take 2 over.
Yeah, 2 to the side.
Okay. Then we'll go over here, and then you have to square it up, right?
Yeah, and then you square yourself up with the ball.
Okay.
And find your target.
Obviously the football. Okay. And then you take
in the target in the distance. You want to find that one first.
Okay. And then you take your jab step, right?
Yeah, your jab step with your left foot.
Okay.
Then you stride.
Okay. And then you kick it.
Yeah.
Okay. D.
And you might want to take your steps a little shorter just since you're starting out.
Okay.
It might be a little bit easier for you.
Okay.
Take your steps a little bit shorter.
Okay.
And take your
All
first step with that foot.
All right.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Okay.
All right, I'll start with your left foot.
All right. And then you
then take one step with your left foot.
like that?
Hold on.
I don't understand.
I'll do it once.
No, okay.
Okay, so I take my first step back with my left foot.
Okay.
I take 1, 2, 3. And they don't have to be big steps, just like normal, regular steps.
Okay.
And 2 steps to the side. And then I usually square up my shoulders and look at my target in the distance. And then I look at the ball, where I want to hit it on the ball.
All right.
And then I take one small step with my left foot, then my stride, then my plant foot.
Okay.
And I swing through.
This is all second nature to you. When did you decide that you wanted to be a kicker?
Well, it was my freshman year, and there was a senior that year, my freshman year, named Colin Petty, and he was a kicker.
Yeah.
And we're family friends. And so he asked me if I was interested, and I said, yeah, definitely. And so he's brought me out one day and taught me to kick, and I thought it was fun, so I joined.
How much practice and time have you put into being the best kicker?
I've been kicking since freshman year, and it's now my junior year, and this year is when I started being the starting kicker. And so I've been practicing for about 2 years.
All right, let's try this again. All right.
Okay, 3 steps back.
1, 2, 3.
And 2 small steps aside.
1, 2. And then I find my target.
All right, then you just take your jab step with your left foot.
Yeah.
And then just run through it and kick the ball.
Yay!
Good job.
Did it. Now that I've done mine, now let's see how a pro does it.
All right, I'm going to do the same things I taught you.
All right.
My 3 steps back. My 2 steps to the left. I find my targeted distance and square up. Now I run through it. That's how you do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now back to you guys.
Well, so, gentlemen, it's rivalry time in football, and, everyone knows, like, the third weekend in October is Tennessee-Alabama, and it's the first Friday in November, so you know what time it is for that. It's time for Swain and Murphy, and we've got Coach Blankenship coming in, and obviously there's going to be some scheduling changes, apparently, so, Toby, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
The thing starting in 2015, Swain and Murphy being the last game of the season is going to change, and that was voted on by Smoky Mountain Conference ADs, and that's why we have joining us here today Swain County High School's athletic director Neil Blankenship. And Coach, it was a 5-2 vote by the athletic directors to change the scheduling in football to be random, so to speak. In other words, it'll rotate on a yearly basis. So I guess the first and biggest question, what does this mean to Swain County High School in terms of our football schedule in the future?
Well, it means they took one of the best rivalries in the state of North Carolina, and they're moving it now. And what will happen is instead of us playing Murphy last, their schedule will rotate in basketball and softball and baseball, because Highlands and Blue Ridge and the small schools that don't have football, we would rotate the schedule so that you didn't play those schools the same time every time, and it would help with sometimes before Christmas in basketball you would open up with Rosman, and sometimes that you would open up with Highlands. So it made sense in those sports because those schools don't have football. Well, in football it stayed the same, and nobody usually ever rotates the football schedule, but the ADs got together and they decided that they wanted to start rotating to make it fair for them or whatever, as Gentry called it. They were jealous of what we had because most time this game at the end of the year was for a conference championship and meant something, a lot of times, and it's always been that way. And, we've had teams come into our conference, teams leave our conference, and, and the ADs then were, smart enough to know how important that rivalry was to our conference, because everybody knows about our conference for that reason. And they continue to leave that game no matter what happened to the schedule.
Yep.
Well, these ADs decided that they wanted to try to make it fair for them and this and that. So what's going to happen with the schedule is it's going to rotate now. We usually open up with Robbinsville. Next year we'll end with Robbinsville. So our last 3 games will be Rosman, Murphy, Robbinsville at the end of the year. And we'll start off our conference schedule with an open date, because usually we played Robbinsville and had an open date. So everything for 2 years we'll have the open date to start the conference season, and then it'll rotate that way.
So exactly what was the logic behind that? The fact that they didn't, like for instance, Robbinsville didn't want to always open with Swain. Is that the thinking?
Well, that's where it came from. Was from them when they put it up. They put it financially. Whereas if they lost to us, and then they played a conference game, then they played Murphy next, their last 2 home games or their last 2 games, they weren't going to have any money. And my whole point was it's how you handle the loss. We went through 3 years there where Robbinsville wore us out.
Yep.
And we still were a conference champion one of those years. It's how you handle those losses, whether or not you get those people back in the stands there. So,
Sure.
that has a lot to do with it. But, they thought that was a big deal on that part of it, that financially that maybe they wanted to be with Murphy 2 years, and have that chance. With Robbinsville, it didn't make a lot of sense to me because they at least got to open the year with Swain, and that's a big rivalry in itself. So they were guaranteed that money every year.
Right.
So we'll say that they don't, they're not playing well, and they get to us at the end of the year, they're still not going to be making well, or we're not playing well. So the money thing's going to be there still the same. So it's kind of I think selfish reasons, jealous reasons, what got into a lot of it, and so that part of it. But it is what it is, and it was a 5-2 vote. Me and Coach Gentry voted against it, and are still disappointed in it.
Yeah.
We've talked this week.
Well, I was going to ask you who the 2 were. I knew who they were, but I didn't know if we wanted to say that on the air, that it was Swain and Murphy that were in favor of that. And of course, financially, do you see this being any kind of impact on our athletic program?
Well, that game, there are a lot of people who came from around the state to that game, for that game at the end of the year, especially when it meant something. I think that would still have a little bit to do with it, but I still think Swain and Murphy still going to be a big rival. I still think if both teams are having a lot of success, there'll still be a lot of people in the seats. And regardless of who we're playing, if we're playing well, we have a big crowd. So I don't think that if a team's playing well, small town football, that's what it's about. If you're playing well, fans are going to come. If you're not playing well, they're not going to come. So, it'll have maybe a little impact, but I don't see it having a great big impact.
Ironically, if we look at it from a purely statistical standpoint, this year, Robbinsville's schedule worked out perfect for them.
Yes, it did.
They clinched a conference championship 3 weeks ago,
right?
At least a share of it. And so they're one of the main proponents, and they shot themselves in the foot where they could be seeing, by their go, they could be seeing us or Murphy last and not have anything sewn up at 9-0.
That's right. They control their own destiny right now, so, they're in the driver's seat.
Right. That's kind of ironic that it happened that way. Well, while we've got you here, before we segue into the next segment, last Friday night, the Maroon Devils taking a 56-36 win over Rosman. And, as defensive coordinator, it was probably enough to make you cringe. 36 points was more than the combined scores of the wins we had in conference added together going into that thing. So defensively this week, what have you guys been able to do?
Well, we're facing a totally different offense. With Rosman, it was the option game and stuff like that, and what they do. And, and with them, it was about we just didn't play well as a whole. We played decent. We didn't tackle well. We didn't get them off the field in third down. We let drives go too long. So, that was a thing. It was kind of a wake-up call to say, hey, we're not as good as we need to be, so practice has been a little easier on that part on defense. But with Murphy, you got a wing T offense where they pull the guards, and they have very explosive athletes where if you do not tackle them, they're going to go the distance. So you've got to be on your game every play because, you could stop them 3 series. They could have one good play, and they got 7 points.
Yep.
Right.
So, that's what we've had to guard against this week, and we've had to work real hard because with wing T, instead of, reading quarterback like you do with option stuff, you have to go to reading guards and stuff like that. So, we've had to change things around as far as, what we're reading and stuff this week.
Well, I know that one of the big storylines to come out of this season for the Smoky Mountain Conference in general is the injuries that Murphy has had.
Yeah.
They've been decimated almost by key injuries, not just injuries, but key injuries. Yeah. How do the Bulldogs look now compared to what you expected to see at this point, or maybe earlier in the season?
Well, against Hayesville, they still look pretty explosive. They put up a lot of points, and they had, I think, 49 points at the first half, and they had a lot of points early. So, they still look pretty explosive, and, Murphy never lacks in athletes. It's changed some of the things they're doing and how they're doing. They had a returning quarterback that threw the ball well that broke his ankle just going against the air, just tangled his feet up, Coach Gentry said, and he broke his ankle there, and, and so Then they lost their big fullback they were counting on for the power game early in the year with an ACL tear. So, they've had a tough year with season-ending injuries. He said it's never been nothing small all year. It's been season-ending. Every time somebody gets hurt, they're out for the year. So, they've had a tough luck with that part of it. But, the quarterback they got going right now, he throws the ball decently there and he runs the ball good. But they have still 2 key athletes that can absolutely fly and are dangerous every time they touch the ball, and they have one of the best tight ends in the state, Puccio, so, they're still going to be tough to handle, and plus it's at their place.
Yeah, and that's always a tough place to play over there. In the tradition of things, we were able to get a win over there 2 years ago in 2012, but up until then, the two teams exchanging home wins essentially over that amount of time as both play extremely well at home. Well, we're going to step away for a short break right here, and when we come back, we're going to talk with offensive coordinator Jeff Marr about the challenges that the offense will face this week against the Bulldog defense. And we're back, folks, and we appreciate you joining us on the Maroon Strong Pregame Show. Thanks again, Aaron. I think Paul's getting more work out of Aaron than he normally gets on a work day. But, offensively last Friday night, the Maroon Devils put 56 points up on the board, by far and away the season high for this year. Ran for almost 400 yards and of total offense.
I'll tell you, it was. I thought at first when I was looking at the paper on Saturday morning, I thought maybe basketball season started early. But you had to be happy with 56 points. And tell us, you had almost 500 yards of total offense. What'd you guys do against that Rosman defense to rack up those totals?
Well, we love to score points, and we've been actually kind of spoiled, I guess, over the last few years. We've scored a lot of points, but we've really had to kind of reevaluate what we're doing with our kids, and really right now it's about getting the W. Sure. And our kids realize this year that even if we don't go out and score 40 points a game, it's all about getting one more than the other team has.
Absolutely.
But fortunately Friday we kind of exploded a little bit, put up a lot of points, and it's kind of been a strange season because you look in our backfield and it seems like every back that we have has had some sort of injury this year that maybe has limited or kept them out. You've not seen Spencer in a while in the backfield. Taylor has been hurt. Derek Fortner has dealt with injuries. So it's just been we went from having a slew of backs that we were having a hard time getting them all in the game to all of a sudden you wind up with 2. So we kind of changed our, I hate to say philosophy a little bit, but we did. For us, it's all about getting the ball in our weapons' hands.
Yeah, and then one of those weapons being Jordan Cody.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things with Jordan. We have what we like to call the Cody Cat. You've probably seen the Wildcat on TV. We like to put Jordan back there at quarterback some because he's a tremendous athlete.
Absolutely,
and anytime you can get the ball in your athlete's hands, that's what I try to do. Probably saw a little surprise last week. You saw Chris Miller and Kobe Tornita in the backfield at the same time. Kobe Tornita is just like Jordan. Anytime he gets the ball, he's electric. You may stop him, but he also may go 40, 50 yards for a score. Didn't see much veer last Friday night. I don't know if you noticed that. It's kind of a weird word to have to use around here, but we actually employed some spread offense schemes, some zone schemes.
Sure did.
And it worked out really well. Our kids bought into that. Obviously, we're not going away from the veer, but it's what we had to do the other night. And it's a nice change-up to have in my pocket when we need it.
How hard is it, because you ran a lot of different sets on Friday. How hard is it to keep those kids focused on pay attention to, you don't have a lot of time to spend on each set. Yeah. How exactly do you teach that in a week's practice?
Well, it's hard, and one of the scoring plays we put in on Thursday, so sometimes you just get lucky. Sure. But we do have a lot of sets, and Coach Scotty McMahon kind of is in charge of all that on the sideline. I give him what I want us in, and it's his job to get everybody where they need to be in the huddle, get the guys out, get the guys in. Yeah. And it's been a huge process this year because There are certain times I want Jordan certain places or Kobe certain places, and we have a lot of different sets, and I just think that keeps teams off balance, and it gives them a lot to have to prepare for in a week's time.
Especially with a young team, you got to take whatever advantages you can, and I've seen a lot of confusion on the defensive side of the ball from other teams, and I know too between you and Scotty, I don't know how you guys have a voice left at the end of a Friday night game with all the yelling for getting people in the right spot, but
well, it's tough, and it paid off Friday because I know Rosman spent a lot of time last week preparing for our veer and our power offense and things like that. And once we were able to kind of back out and spread them out a little bit, there was a lot of confusion on the field. And, of course, that helps with what we do.
Right.
And I know it gave Murphy a whole lot to have to try to prepare for this week with our veer scheme and now our spread offense type stuff.
Sure.
Talk just a little bit, Coach, about what I would call the effective passing game from Friday night. It wasn't 18 of 24 or anything like that. There was only 6 or 7 passes, but it was so effective because 4 of those, I believe, went for touchdowns.
They were touchdowns, and our passing game has evolved this year into we're not going to have to line up and throw it 15 or 20 times. If we're doing that, it's probably not a good night for us. Kobe and Trent both have done a nice job of hitting those receivers as of late when they're open, and really those passes are tailored and built around what we're doing on offense. We hit Chandler Norton the other night. Or Christian, I'm sorry, Chandler. I get them confused. 15, Chandler.
Well, they both scored.
They both scored, so it doesn't matter. The tight end, Chandler, we hit him on just a little tight end pass, but all it was we were faking zone, which we had run probably 8 plays in a row, and the defense just over-adjusted. And we have good guys up top and good guys on the sidelines that say, hey, man, they overplayed that, hit the tight end, and there it was.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that start getting back into, because I know earlier in the year, especially like that Smoky Mountain game, you used the pass to a lot of very effective passes, really open up that game in that second half, and good to see it. Good to see it working for you again.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the year, we have just a stable of guys who can catch the ball, and once they catch it, they do things with it. I know they'd probably like to have the ball in their hands more, but like I said earlier, it's about winning, and they're doing a great job. What I'm most proud of those guys for, the receivers, is they've really bought into blocking on the edge. That's gotten so much better as the years went on. And the other night, Jordan and Christian Norton were directly responsible for one of our scoring runs with the blocks they had on the edge.
Beautiful.
Well, what are the Bulldogs going to offer you in terms of defense? They're an old familiar foe. They don't change a lot year in and year out offensively and defensively. What are the particular things that will give you problems, and where do you think you can hurt them?
It's the same thing as every year. Murphy is one of the best coach teams that we face year in and year out. Their kids believe in the schemes that they're running. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're not going to get out of position a lot. So it's up to us on offense to really execute the game plan that we have for this week. Obviously, you heard Bradley Puccio. He's one of their outside linebackers. He's a tremendous defensive player, number 17. We'll have to know where he's at all times. Not to say that we're not going to run his direction, because we obviously will, but as far as being the star over there on that side of the ball, it's probably him.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got some highlights from the Maroon Devils' big win over Rosman, the 56-36 win, and let's take a look at those now.
So some good size up front for Rosman. Fake the handoff this time. Running the other way is going to be Jordan Cody. Cody across the 45 to the 50. Breaks a tackle. 40-foot race. 35-30, 25-20. And he is going to score. Good interference down there on the last guy. Angel Bauer stepped in front of the last tackler. And Jordan Cody took that one all the way to the house. And I'm guessing that's about 62 yards for Jordan Cody with 11:34 to play early in the ballgame here tonight, Toby. Norton and wide left is Jordan Cody, with the twin backs getting the toss out to this side, and cutting back inside is going to be Kobe Toinita. Again, his second carry tonight, if you will. Down inside the 25-yard line. Nice run by Kobe Toinita. So this time Kobe under center. Kobe Toinita wide right. Kobe is going to throw, looking, rolling. Now looking down the right side. Got a man wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Kobe Toinita. And it was such a good thing to see. Kobe Stevenson actually stopped in the backfield and kind of directed Kobe Toinita.
That stresses on the Maroon Devil defense, which really had no answer to that first go-around to this Tiger offense, and there's an answer.
Wow, there's an answer with a lot of maroon jerseys in the backfield. Leading the charge back there this time is going to be Kanan Sellers. First one to throw the football on. Got a good punt here. And it's going to be Jordan Cody back to the 16-yard line. Out to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Got a big side of the field, one man to beat. And he is the guy who brings him down at the 42-yard line.
They would have drawn a flag, so good job setting that wall up.
Now it's going to be the handoff to the left side. It's going to be Miller inside the 35, inside the 30. Wow, I tell you, this kid is not big. 5'6", 145-pound sophomore, but he broke at least 2 tackles on that play.
Involvement offense makes it even more intriguing.
Now the southpaw fires in the end zone. It's going to be caught. It's going to be a touchdown in the hands of Chandler Norton. Bang. It's all of a sudden that quick as our Maroon Devils are striking quickly here tonight against the Rosman Tigers. What a nice play again from Trent Wright, number 16 to number 15. 16 to 15, Chandler Norton on the receiving end. Side, one to the right side on first down. Kobe hands off to Kobe again, and he pops it outside again, another first down. Out to the 43-yard line this time, and that is the final play of the first quarter as Rosman so far has showed no ability to slow down this Maroon Devil offense. Second down and 7. As the handoff goes to the left side, it's going to be Miller again. Miller, such quick feet. Looks like he got the first down.
He's still on his feet.
Yeah, what a run by Chris Miller. I mean, the guy, as we mentioned, it's just uncanny. Even though he's one of the smallest guys on the field, Toby, he's hard to knock down.
Miller, the lone back for Stevenson.
And trips out to the left side. Little wide receiver screen out there. Nice work over there. It's going to be Christian Norton to the sideline, and he's going to go all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Maroon Devils. That one covering right at 30 yards. And again, both the Norton boys have scored now. Christian Norton on a touchdown pass over on the left side. Defense swarming to the football. Now a 4-man front. Rosman is going to throw. Rice looking, timing pattern up in the air. Dangerous ball, and it's intercepted this time by Angel Bowers. We were talking about him just a moment ago, and again, the air that Josh Rice puts under the football is just a defensive back's delight, Toby, because they can camp out back there almost like an outfielder in baseball, and there's just a lot of time under that football when it comes down. We'll kick it back after their score over the Maroon Devils. This is a line drive on the ground, taken at the 25. Jordan Cody pops out to the right side, out to the 35. Quick feet, 40, 45, 50. Down the right sideline. It's going to be a foot race again, and Jordan Cody is going to win this race as he brings this one back around 75 yards or so. And again, the second big play of the night for Jordan Cody on the kickoff return all the way. And again, great blocking down the right sideline this time for the Maroons. Fans, welcome back after the quick timeout. It's going to be Jordan Cody with a huge hole on the left side. Breaks 2 tackles down the left sideline, and he is going to go all the way to the house. Jordan Cody breaks it down the left sideline after breaking 2 tackles. And Jordan Cody, again, Mr. Excitement, gets it done as he takes this one about 59, 60 yards or so, Toby Burrell. And again, you're going to have a lot of stats to add up when this ball game is all over. We still have 3 minutes to play in the first half.
Long yardage situation for that.
So now second down and mix up in the backfield, and it's going to cost them, but good second effort. Actually get some positive yards over there for quarterback Josh Rice.
Ball's loose.
Ball's loose. Maroon Devils have it. Back out across the 35-yard line. And as they all untangle, it's going to be Taylor Orris with the loose football for the Maroon Devils. Again, a different set. Got 2 wide to the right, 1 wide to the left side. And it's going to be Trent back to throw. Kobe blocking for him now. Firing down the middle. It's going to be Jordan Cody. Has it at the 40. No, check that. It's going to be 15. Chandler Norton. Chandler all the way down inside the 10, and he is going to score. Rosman came on with the tackle, but it was in the end zone. We have a very late penalty flag back upfield, I think, after the touchdown by number 15, Chandler Norton. Our Maroon Devil defense has given up no more than 14 points in only one of our games, as you mentioned. And now throwing down the field. There's the interception right at the goal line. They knock him backwards, but Angel Bowers is going to run it out. He's out to the 5, out to the 10. We thought they had him in the end zone, but he's back out across the 25-yard line. What a play by Angel Bowers when Rosman looked like they had him wrapped up literally in the end zone, and he runs it out for another big pick and another big return for the Maroon Devils. Third quarter, to say the least now, as the handoff goes to the left side. And here comes Fortner out to the 20-25. He's into the secondary, and unless somebody catches him, he is going to score. No penalty flag up the field. One man trying to catch him, and he doesn't get there in time. And there's a huge run by Mr. Derek Fortner of 85 yards. Toby, 84?
I'm getting there.
It's 80 plus.
Faster than I can move today.
As we mentioned, it's a statistician's nightmare tonight in this ballgame.
Well, Tom, we're winding down to kickoff, just a few minutes away now. The Murphy-Swain rivalry, doing it up one more time. But, before we do that, we want to thank Paul Crawley and Soda Pops, Aaron Jenkins, for their kind hospitality of having us in this morning, and our entourage of equipment and people. And we appreciate them being willing to sponsor the Maroon Strong Pregame Show and allowing us to come down here and shoot. I think it gives a different perspective on things, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. And they've been very hospitable. And like I said, I want this worked into my contract. I get R&J at every pregame show.
Yeah, well, I've seen we got a milkshake for one coach. We got some ice cream from Mr. Coach Marr over there.
Coach Blankenship didn't get anything. I think there's something about him
that seem right. And he filled 2 roles. He's
I don't know what the deal is with that.
He was our AD segment and a football
segment. He did 2
segment.
spots.
He should have gotten maybe ice cream and maybe a Coke float. Combine the 2 things. So
he needs to write that in his contract.
Yeah, but again, we want to thank Mr. Crawley and everybody down here at Soda Pops for everything, because it's a big show to get sponsored. Because it's such a big rivalry week. It's such a big game. I mean, heck, this has been the de facto conference championship game more times than we can add. And and I'll tell you another thing. Between these 2 teams, look at what these 2 teams have done playoff wise. Right. The last 30-40 years. Who knows?
The last 4 years, the Bulldogs have been in the state championship game 4 years in a row. Swain was there 2 of those 4 years. Yep. So the Smoky Mountain Conference dominant in that regard.
Yep.
And being down there and winning 7 state titles for Murphy, 8 for us, so 15 total state titles between them. Just an amazing series, an amazing rivalry. Certainly, in my mind, one of the best ones in the state of North Carolina.
Well, when you have one team like us here at Swain, we've had 85 playoff wins in 32 years. I mean, that's unreal. It's most in the state.
Most in the state.
And then you got a team like Murphy, who's, like we just said, played in 4 different state title games. Has won 2. These teams always have a lot to play for.
Right.
Even in a year where I've heard one term I hate more than anything in the world is I hear we're rebuilding or we're young. Yeah. Hey, we're 8-2, and we've got an opportunity to really move up and get solidify. We've got a lot to play for. Home playoff game, seeding. And not to mention the fact we don't have to listen to those Murphy folks for a whole year talk to us.
Absolutely. Since 1972, the Maroon Devils hold a 29-20 advantage in that series. Most people would not have guessed that.
Me neither.
Coming in,
I would have thought. I've been up here for 13 years, and I've basically seen back and forth those 13 years.
Well, since 91, it's been 14-11 Maroon Devils. So it's a little closer since 91, but 14-11 advantage for the Maroon Devils. Yep. And the sore spot for the Bulldogs, we've won the last 3 in a row.
Yeah, we have. Last year's game was a very contentious game. I sat down on the fence last year. Usually I sit up in the stands, but I went down and talked to the other the 100 or so coaches that line the fence down there, and there was a lot of back and forth between the Murphy folks just down on the field, across the field. So it was a fun experience. I think I'm going to sit in the stands this week, though. I'm going to leave the coaching to our able staff.
Well, I tell you what, despite the fact being in the state championship game for 4 years in a row, I can assure you that the one thing that does not set well with Murphy is losing to Swain those 3 of those years. So it'll be a big game from the Murphy Bulldogs standpoint and the Maroon Devils as well. We hope the Maroon Nation shows up in force. Hey, we're just moments away from kickoff.
Yep.
Remind you folks that you got to understand, once we finish the pregame, you're not going to see anything anymore. Tom and I didn't break the cameras. We're not allowed to show video from Murphy. We will bring you the audio live, so sit back and listen. We'll have the video up after the season's over, so if you don't get to go to the game, you can enjoy it. We apologize profusely to our folks who follow us loyally around the country. This was not our decision, but we're willing to do everything we can to bring you Maroon Devil football, and that means going dark for this game. So no video for this week.
Well, we can listen to Gary and Steve.
Gary and Steve will be bringing you the calls. Matter of fact, take it away, Gary and Steve. It's kickoff time in the Maroon Nation.